Hi, I'm Susan Evans from susanevans.org, and today I'm going to show you my Renaissance unit study. Now, most people only study the Renaissance for a week, or maybe 2 weeks, or a month at the most. Well, since I used to be an English teacher and I want to teach my children Shakespeare for a full year, I'm going to take a whole year to study the Renaissance. And the Renaissance is a very exciting time. For our introduction to the Renaissance, I'm going to be using this book. It's called Rats, Bulls, and Flying Machines. It's put together by the same people that do What Your Sixth Grader Needs to Know and that series. And it's because they wanted to get back to the classics and actual history and make it relevant to kids. And so it gives a really, really good overview of the Renaissance, and it includes the Reformation and exploration and stuff like that. So this is a really good introduction. It has 16 chapters, and so it can be done easily in 1 month. So if you only have a month to do your Renaissance unit study, I would definitely include this in there. Throughout the entire year, we're going to do a notebook on the Renaissance. The papers in here are going to include literature, history, science discoveries and explorations. For example, Leonardo Da Vinci and also Columbus, Sir Francis Drake, explorers like that. And so all of this different study is going to be included in here, kind of like how I did the ancient Egypt notebook that I showed you in my 1-hour workshop that I did, integrating art into history. I show you every single page of our finished ancient Egypt notebook. That is so worth a look. It's on my website, susanevans.org. And so I do sheet protectors. I put black paper in there so everything looks really sharp against that. And I'm expecting my kids to do summaries of Shakespeare plays and things like that. A picture of a ship, for example. I am not going to be using this except for a few pictures and things like that. It's a thematic unit for the Renaissance. For example, these are reproducibles, and so if you buy this book, you can actually reproduce things like this. So the kids are going to cut out the ship and learn the parts of the ship when we do explorers. And then we're going to glue that to the black construction paper to make it pop and really, really cool. We'll probably be designing our own ships as well and sailing them on some water, kind of like we did with the Bath Time Fun audio that's available, especially if you have young kids. Now, Shakespeare, if you only have a chance to study one Shakespeare play, I would choose Hamlet. It is very, very good. It is probably the most famous one of all. Romeo and Juliet as well, and Macbeth. Even though Macbeth is really, really dark, it shows the consequences of actions like greed and things like that. And so the good thing about Shakespeare is that you always see consequences for actions. What would happen if he had made a different choice at this point? That kind of thing. Now, Tales from Shakespeare is a rendition of Shakespeare that is easy for kids to understand. And so you can read it in prose form, in a condensed and shortened form that is meant for children. And so it's not all poetic, and so the kids can understand it. So I'm going to start by reading them in here, this story. And so they'll understand what the story is. We'll talk about it. And then at that point, I'm going to show either a video or a DVD or something like that. Now, I have not watched this, so I don't know if it contains bad stuff or whatever. I will be putting into my unit study treasure vault, I'm going to be putting all the Shakespeare plays that I'm going to see this year. I'm going to preview them before I show them to my kids. and some of them might have nudity, and so I'll say which ones are good and which ones aren't in my unit study treasure vault, which is available on my website, susanevans.org, and it's a membership site that has a tiny fee. It's very, very low. So the thousands of hours that I put into it is good for both of us, basically. So anyways, so after watching the actual Shakespeare play done in the Shakespearean language, the Elizabethan language, that's just fabulous. It's just dripping and oozing with poetic devices, and it's just, there's a reason that it's considered a classic. All of Shakespeare's plays are exquisite in different ways. I just remember when I lived in England, I went to Stratford-upon-Avon and I watched Shakespeare performances of the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford-upon-Avon. I also did it in London, and it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. So if you watch the plays were intended to be performed, they were intended to be watched. And so just reading it or reading about it doesn't give you the full flavor of it. Okay, so once they understand it and they've watched it, then we're going to read the real Shakespearean language. I'll either read it to them with different voices, just read it like that, or have them act it out in, you know, some sort of costume. They don't have to do it in costumes or whatever, but they'll really own those plays. Okay, I also found, I found this book, William Shakespeare. You know how I love things that fold out and stuff? And this is one of those that has little fold out things, and it's just, I love books that have lift the flap type things, even for older kids. You know that Shakespeare is normally taught in high school, so keep that in mind. But for homeschoolers that are advanced anyways, my oldest is 12 right now, and he can fully understand if I explain it to him, and so can my 10-year-old. My kids right now are 12, 10, 9, and 7. So you get a kind of a span for how old my kids are at this moment. Okay, I also found this at a used curriculum sale for like $3 or $4. It has some hands-on stuff, and so we'll see what kind of stuff is in there. One of the things was Gutenberg's printing press, which made available a lot of Shakespeare's plays for people, and so we'll be doing some hands-on activities about that. Another good thing that you can do is to get a play like Macbeth. This is a young reader's Shakespeare, and so you can read it in different chapters. And so this is longer than the Macbeth in here, which is just one short chapter to get the gist of it. Well, this one says it in a longer way for children as well. So it's done in prose. And here we have some paper dolls, which I'm going to be doing something really fun with that, with my kids, little performance skits like puppetry. Also with Shakespeare, you can do Tales from Shakespeare. I know this is the same title as this one. However, these are basically cartoons. Isn't that cool? These are basically little cartoon strips of the different Shakespeare plays. So you can get the gist of Shakespeare plays from this. My kids have loved them for years, and so now we're going to actually be studying the plays that they're already familiar with, that they read this on their own for fun. Okay? Now, also Shakespeare's life, this Bard of Avon, the story of William Shakespeare, it doesn't have too much to say, so it's good. It's a good overview of Shakespeare's life that is not too tedious, and so I'm going to be showing them that. Also, during the Renaissance, you also have the Reformation happening. Now, I picked this up at a used curriculum sale for $5, but I found it on the internet. This is, basically it is 6 half-hour shows. This is VHS, but it's probably on DVD by now. Anyways, they're each of the Reformation leaders and their lives, and it's just really, really well done. And so I was surprised because it looked kind of musty to me, so I had no idea if it was going to be dorky or boring or something, but it wasn't. It was interesting. And it also had a teacher's background, and then it had discussion questions, so you could do this with a co-op group, for example, show a video once a week for 6 weeks, and then on the 7th week you'd have a Reformation Day where everybody dressed up, you know, kind of like Martin Luther and that kind of thing. So anyways, that was really nice. Now we have Leonardo da Vinci and his inventions. This particular book has pop-ups of his inventions. Isn't that so freaking cool? You have his inventions, and so we went to a museum where we saw all the different inventions, and the kids were able to play with them. So we are going to study Leonardo da Vinci. Also, you have a lot of great, great art, and so we're going to do a lot more art this year. Yes, see, it frees us up to do more art and literature. For example, they really learned how to draw the proportions of the human body. So I bought this, and so that the kids could learn how to draw a body proportionately, a person proportionately. Okay, Michelangelo. This book has Michelangelo paintings in it. I've got some stickers of Michelangelo. The Sistine Chapel is absolutely gorgeous. I've been there and I've seen it. It's just majestic. Okay, so you have artists. There's a lot of inventions. Now, you could do a whole separate unit study on inventions, which I have. It's in my unit study treasure vault. I have an invention unit study. I have an explorers unit study. And so, anyways, those can be mini unit studies to break up the school year, because this is going to be a whole year. I realize that electricity is way later. It's not during the Renaissance. But if you have an inventions unit study, you could go all the way to the present with that unit study. And I don't care about this particular one. It might be good, it might not. But you can get inventions kits that have everything you need in it if you don't like grabbing your own stuff. But as you can see, one of my sons has sketches of inventions that he has made that are just incredible, that are patterned after Leonardo da Vinci. So this is going to be an incredible year for us. And you can, find other books about inventions. This one is How to Be an Inventor. Very good book by Harvey Weiss. Okay. Also, Christopher Columbus. We have a lot of really good books about Christopher Columbus. This one, for example, is really fun. It has pop-ups and stuff like that for younger kids to enjoy. You also have this book, which is Christopher Columbus. It has a punch-out storybook, and on the back you see we cut out the figures. And in my Explorers unit study, in my unit study treasure vault, you could see a picture of this all out. And because they're little figures, the kids were able to reenact the story and tell the story with the figures, moving the figures. So that was fun for the kids when they were younger, and even now we'll be doing that again to review. You can have, let's see, explorers that could be all kinds of different explorers. Magellan, Sir Francis Drake. I found a whole separate book on Sir Francis Drake that's very short. It could be for any younger age. Okay, and then, now, if you don't have enough money to buy, or you don't go to a costume shop or things like that, I mean, this is a bit over the top, my particular outfit, but a hat like this, I bought at a costume shop for $3, brand new, at a costume shop, okay? And you can make this. I turned it around and I looked at it, okay? If you turn it around, look closely, basically you make just a little hem around a circle, like a black circle, right? And you make a hem, and you put in a stretchy thing, okay, like a rubber band. Well, not a rubber band, but you know, one of those stretchy things like in dresses. You stick it in and then you sew it shut, okay? And then you can hot glue or use fabric glue. Probably fabric glue would be better. And put that over here or sew it. And then, see, this was hot glued. Take a close look at that. That is hot glued right there. So you have a fancy little feather coming out of hot glue. So they probably hot glued the rest of this too. See how easy and simple that is. And this is for a boy or a girl. And so you can have a whole costume there. You can find a fluffy shirt like this, probably at Goodwill. And then maybe some black pants, and there you go. My Renaissance unit study. I am Susan Evans from susanevans.org.